してもダセえとこ見せちまったな。
Yo, it's your man MAS, back with more Windbreaker, alright? I talked about it in the previous video. This video, I'm just gonna go a little bit more in depth in terms of Windbreaker versus Night Teacher, alright? Yandere Sensei. I'm probably butchering that, right? I butcher a lot of names, alright? So again, in the previous video, I did mention we don't really read over here. Not in the embarrassing sense, just this is strictly about the anime, not the book versions. Maybe Windbreaker, the book is like the best thing since sliced bread, right? But in regards to the anime, it's far from that, in my opinion, far from that. But again, I'm biased, right? So to each his own. It just may not be for me, right? Maybe Windbreaker is your cup of tea. Maybe it's for you, but it's definitely not for me, right? But my whole thing is, I finished season 1, finished season 2, all right? Maybe more episodes are gonna come out in season 2. This is, I think, May 22nd. So maybe more episodes will drop, but as of now, I finished everything. I've seen everything I need to see. I do not need to see anymore. But being objective, we're gonna take Windbreaker for what it is, all right? And then compare it, because you know I love comparing on this channel, to another series that I feel like essentially does what Windbreaker does, minus the violence, and I think is better. So we'll get into it, right? Night Teacher. A quick summary of Night Teacher. Again, I think I talked about in the other video, but Night Teacher is essentially an adult, a teacher. His name is in the title, or I'm not going to butcher his name, but he pretty much goes about motivating young kids who are going through things, right? But he's done in a really realistic sense, right? Like you can kind of tell that these people come from troubled homes, troubled situations, and he's not like an overbearing adult, right? He's pretty much like that cool teacher that like does enough to capture your attention, but knows he's not being like nosy, right? And if he needs to step in, he steps in. He always steps in at the right time, right? So from what I've read, because it was a really good read, I can't front. Like Night Teacher is really, really good. I encourage you to actually read that if you get the chance. It's like if you're looking for that kind of content, right? Looking for uplifting, sentimental, pulling people from the gutter. You know, the cool adult who's there for the young kids. Like Night Teacher is very much that kind of read, very much that kind of manga. Like it's a good read, right? Now, how this compares to Windbreakers, right? I think the issue with Windbreakers, again, all my opinion, it tries to do too much. As I continue to watch, I'm like, what is this show really trying to do, right? The one thing I think is a staple in the show is that it has a very sentimental premise. So whatever it is that's happening, there is a sentimental aspect of it. There is a backstory to it. Like the thing that Windbreakers does, that I'll give it credit for as well, it's very big on maybe not character development, but character stories, right? All these characters, for the most part, as far as I can tell, they have names. They don't literally name everybody in the classroom, right, per se, but like they give a lot of characters, you know, like they're shining the light more than I feel like it should. So I'm assuming these characters have names and backstories. Each one of these kids in the classroom, each one of these guys in the classroom, right? So it's not just main characters and then NPCs everywhere, right? Like most series, which is fine. Nothing's against that, because I feel like, you know, you kind of want to highlight your main characters, maybe some side characters, and then everybody else is essentially like an NPC. But Windbreaker, they really touch on character backstories a lot. And the characters that you even think is an NPC aren't really NPCs. So it's like, all right, maybe like the creator put some thought into these classrooms, these rankings, these hierarchies, these characters, their backstories, their development. Like, so I'll give Windbreaker credit for that. That's one of like its redeeming points, right? But the thing about it is it's not just about that, right? So again, it's like the action, so the fight scenes, they're supposedly like delinquents, I call them like the soft thugs, right? There's that, but then there's like, I feel like there's some mix of romance with Sakura and then the girl that works at the cafe. I feel like there's some kind of romance there. I don't know. I feel like maybe there's some kind of bromances there. I don't know. But there's that. So I feel like Windbreaker tries to do the action, the sentimental, the the shonen aspect of it. Like they try to do those things all in this show. Kind of like, I won't even say like a slice of life, because I don't think I've seen any slice of life episodes. So that's Windbreaker so far. My whole thing is Windbreaker seems to be leaning a lot more towards the sentimental aspect of it. Like, yes, the show has action, but the action, it doesn't really capture you. Like after like maybe like the first 3 episodes or so, the action kind of gets like mundane, right? Unless they introduce a new character and he has an interesting fighting style, right? I would go as far as to say even like, oh, that's another thing, like the gang culture, they try to highlight the gang delinquency culture. Even that I don't think is that engaging, because the dude that's like his sidekick, who writes down all the notes on everybody, anytime they meet somebody new, he has all this abundance. Oh my God, that's this group and they're known for this. And anytime you meet a new group, there's some astronomical interesting thing about them supposedly. But I feel like that's what most anime. So like anytime you introduce a new character that is supposedly a main character, you got to give some kind of like oomph to it to make it like, to make us care. Like, all right, so why do we care about this group now? It's like, oh no, this is the notorious street group that like had issues with Furin back in the day, and like you have to give some interesting backstory. So I mean, even that I don't think is that engaging, because like, all right, anytime you introduce a new group, supposedly all this interesting backstory, whatever, right? But then they lean a lot more again into the sentimental aspect, where it's like it's not really about the action, the gangs. It's more about the characters and the backstories, like the hardship that they come from. And a lot of this are like young men, right? So it's like, hey, like they grew up in really rough environments and they found this school that I don't think is really a school, it's just a hangout spot. And, like they're better people because of it. And other groups that they've countered, I guess they don't do that. So they're just ruffians, they're just like hooligans. And, Furin is the only school that like, I guess really uplifts like the young men. Like that's what I'm getting. All I'm trying to say is that Windbreaker should just lean all the way into it. Don't I feel like it's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And then again, Night Teacher just does it better in my opinion. If you read Night Teacher, which again I encourage you to read it, it just does it better. Like if I'm going to want to be into something like that, I'd rather watch the better series. Night Teacher is just a better series in terms of uplifting young men, versus Windbreaker, versus like they kind of do it, but they kind of do it in the most like corny, cheesy fashions during fights, where like they're fighting like all the time, but like, hey, did you have a conversation through your fist kind of thing? And so I mean that's that. But I mean overall, Night Teacher is the better series. That's just the video. But I mean, what do I grade Windbreaker in general? I really don't think it's a good show. I don't think it's not the worst show I've ever seen, because I do think again Windbreaker has some redeeming factors. Its action is above average. Its storytelling, it's not good. So the redeeming factors of Windbreaker is the fight, like its action scenes are above average, and it does a really good job at character backstory and kind of drawing you in for sentimental reasons. I think those are like the cores of Windbreaker, right? The outcast who's being welcomed by the town, that is the core of Windbreaker, right? But besides that, I don't think it really excels in anything else. And then even those two aspects that it excels in, I wouldn't really call it excels, just like slightly above average. I will give the character backstories, like I won't say slightly above it. That's probably definitely above average. If I had to be honest, the only real redeeming factor of Windbreaker is the character backstories and how they do the characters and talking about their tough upbringings. And it really draws you in. Windbreaker does a really good job at that. But honestly, I probably have to give it like C minus. So Windbreakers, overall, from what I've seen from season 1, season 2, in its totality, the anime, not the books, so get out of my comments about the books, strictly the anime, it gets like a C minus, right? I'm not sure if I said C plus before, C minus. Meaning, it's not a D because the character backstories and the thing that they do with the sentimental stuff, they do a really good job at. Everything else is bad, and then the only thing that's slightly above average is the action. Combine all of that, that's a C minus. Not even a C. I feel like a C, you have to probably have 2 good redeeming factors that like is slightly above average. They only have 1, and the other one is questionable above average. Again, Windbreaker's action isn't the worst in the world, right? Like maybe if it was like a year back, like an older generation, Windbreaker action would have been top tier. You know, like maybe in 2000, like the year 2000, Windbreaker's action would have been top tier. If I saw that in the year 2000, like yeah, that's the best thing since sliced bread. But we're talking about 2075, and it's not my fault. Like they just made the bar so high for like action anime. Like you can't compete with Solo Leveling, you can't compete with Jujutsu Kaisen. You just can't compete with that kind of action. So if that's the bar, Windbreaker is just nowhere near that bar, action-wise. So yes, the only redeeming factor is the characters' backstories. And even that is like, I don't think it's overly great. But I mean, that's the whole thing about Windbreakers. If more content comes out, I'll probably talk about it more. But I mean, tell me what you think. What do you think about Windbreakers? Do you actually enjoy the show? What are the things that really draw you in? What are the things that makes the show popular for you? Please like, comment, subscribe. It's your man, MAS. I'm out.